Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's time for the Brown Sports Bag. From the heart of the Barrens, a weekly local sports machine. Alongside John Butler, here's your host, James Brown.
All right, we're back from our hiatus. I took a vacation, John, and it would have been a good last Monday to talk about some football. But, now we can talk about it this week. I needed a vacation, to be honest with you. And
you deserved a vacation. I'll give you that.
I appreciate that, John. And then part of what has happened today, we're going to talk some football, but then Chase Landrum wandered in and got kidnapped, and now he's going to be on the air with us because people may not have realized that during the course of the Glasgow boys golf season, Chase ended up taking over as a head coach. Jonathan Belcher had been the head coach. It was Harrison's senior year, and maybe Jonathan decided that it was a good time for him to kind of step aside. You had already been an assistant. I mean, obviously you played golf at Glasgow and WKU, so it's not like you're a stranger to the game. And so you ended up taking over. And I just wanted to ask you, what was that experience like for you going from an assistant to head coach?
It was it was mind-boggling there at the time it happened because it was kind of the first couple weeks of the year. And
yeah.
Jonathan was, I think, kind of thinking about it and all that. But I wasn't expecting, be honest with my part, I was wanting to finish out the year.
Mm-hmm.
But he come to me one morning, he said, I need you to take over. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
He just said, I can't. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So we had like 3 tournaments in the next 4 days, which it was crazy. I mean, it just taking over. But You know what? We had a good year. We had a very young and inexperienced group this year that was power-driven to getting better each and every day, and they did. And you could tell by the work ethic they were putting in.
Mm-hmm.
They kept getting better, and finally there at the end of the year it showed they shot their best score in the region tournament.
Yeah.
And showed up on that day.
Yeah, I mean, because your region round was outstanding compared to how it had been going leading up to that. And I was pretty impressed by it.
Yeah, I was too. And a lot of people don't know this story. I had one of my players call me that morning and said, I can't play. And I was like, you can't play? He said, yeah, I've hurt my neck. Slept on it the wrong way. I said, okay. I then called Jonathan at that time. I said, we got a problem. He's like, what? I said, one of my players just called me and told me I can't play today because I've got a crick in my neck. I said, who are we going to call? Because we basically, at that point, had told Tate Pace that, well, he couldn't play because he was injured.
Yeah.
He said, call Tate. See what he says because he's eager to play anyway, no matter what.
Right.
So we called him, and he showed up down there, and he almost made it through.
Right.
And you could tell he was in pain, but he wanted to be out there, though.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell a kid no in that standpoint of how much competitiveness that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, you're looking out for the kid, too, in the long run of his future, too,
right.
which could be in golf. So,
well, and going back to Tate, I mean, he was going to have surgery here, I think.
I think he's having surgery next week, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the date, but yeah, his parents had told me about that, which is why I'm telling people, and I talked about it to him that day when I saw him out there. I was like, I thought you told, because I'd seen him the Friday before, and I said, I thought you said you weren't going to be able to play, and he goes, well, it's a funny story. So it was good to see him out there, and you're right. I mean, he had a heck of a day considering every swing of the club, you could tell he was in pain. That was good. But on the upside, like you said, you had a bunch of young guys who improved as the season went along. Some of them you didn't even know were going to be playing until, after the season started.
Yeah, even Jackson Norris come in late in the year, and he provided some good rounds. Tucker Garrett, a 7th grader, he played every tournament of ours this year, which I didn't know he was going to play until the first day of the year. I've got a bunch of sophomore, freshman, 8th grade, 7th grade talent.
Yeah. Where
next year, as long as they continue to work like they did during this year and working all season, then the program's going to continue to come back up.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, Harrison was good to the program. He had a good 4 or 6 years there. He was really good for us. Sam Allen as well. Now, those are the only 2 seniors we lose this year, so we lose 2 of our top 5. But there's some youth coming up as well that a lot of people has not seen yet. So, and that's what we'll see.
Well, maybe that finish at the end of the year kind of gave them some encouragement for working in the off season, that kind of stuff. Because a lot of those guys, I don't remember even playing summer tour stuff. They just played in high school, right?
Yeah, and I'm wanting to push more of that towards them is to play more in the summer where they have more reps before they come in before the season starts.
Yeah.
Because any reps like that will, more reps you get, the usually the better you get. Mm-hmm. In golf, I mean, you can go out there and bang balls all day long and just not get better, but you got to practice with the purpose and do the right things you need to do to get better.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I kidnapped you after you walked in. So
I'm not doing nothing else.
I mean, yeah, the school day's over.
School day's over.
You were just going to go play golf, but now you're here. Right? So let's talk a little high school football, and we're actually going to start off with the Barron County game at North Hardin, John, because the final score I think was 14-6. And then Barron County even had a chance late in the game to score a touchdown, and maybe if they'd have gotten 2-point conversion, tie the game up. So, I mean, they were in this game, and it's the first year I can remember that when we got to the end of the game, Barron County was in a position to be in it and maybe even win the game if they could have gotten there. North Hardin usually hits some big plays, and Barron has struggled to stop those, but that was not the case up there at Radcliffe the week before fall break.
No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, talent-wise, it's probably the best. I know it's the best team that Barron has played, and it's probably the first team that Barron has played so far this year that I think for the first, 6 games, Barron probably had more team speed or at least similar than anybody we played.
Yeah.
Maybe Glasgow, maybe it's about the only one. North Hardin has some really good athletes, and in particular, they're good on defensively. They got a big guy on the line that wears the same number. Who's the kid at Kentucky that played at North Hardin? Oxendine?
Yeah,
the lineman?
Oxendine, yeah.
Wears the same number. It looks exactly like him. It's about 6'4", 260, 270. He's a handful, and they got great speed on defense. But Barron other than the penalties, I think we had 11 or 12 penalties, 7 offsides.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and, those are little things that just kind of kill you. And the one problem area that we had for the first few games of the year defensively in particular was we struggled against the pass. Well, that's all North Hardin does. I mean, it's kind of an odd system. They rotate quarterbacks generally per quarter, and they throw it 80% of the time. And I thought Barron's secondary was really good. And we had trouble moving the ball consistently. But Tate Spillman, had a good game. He rushed for 100 yards, 102 yards and a touchdown, threw for 91, and we had a chance at the end. And, a chance at the end is kind of all you can ask for. We had the ball moving down the field and just couldn't get into the end zone at the end. But overall, if you asked me before the year, will you take 6-1 going into the fall break? I think most people would say yes.
Oh yeah, and that sets you up for a game against Warren Central this coming Friday. And I would say that there's that Barron's easily favored to win that game. Warren Central struggling a little bit this year, not quite back to what they used to be. I mean, they're better, but not where they used to be.
Yeah, and traditionally, Barron has. I've done this for like 25, 26 years covering their games, maybe longer than that, I can't remember. But after the break, it's kind of been a little bit downhill at times for Barron.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time in a long time, I think they can kind of see a little hope right now. It's a little bit different coming off the break when you're 6-1 as opposed to 2-5.
Right.
And you got a lot of players who play other sports too. You start thinking about getting in the gym and doing some other things. Well, when you're 6-1 and you've played really well for the most part, I think there's motivation. And coming back, they got Warren Central, which they'll be a favorite against. They got Central Hardin, who's I think 1-6, and then they finished with a really good Allen County team. But I think the break came at a great time for Barron. I think it came for a great time for Glasgow too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And kind of get reset and come back against a team. If you just want to be real or fair, it's a team that Barron should beat. Yeah,
Barron is on a clear path to hosting a first-round playoff game as they played like they did in their first 7 games.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chase, the Scotties closed out the fall break with a loss at Franklin Simpson, and they lost 4 games in a row for the first time since 2008. Glasgow fans who have been around for a minute remember that 2008 season. And they didn't win a game that year. So it's kind of a bumpy road for them. And the thing is, to me, there's some similarities. Different, but similarities in this sense. In 2008, in the first half of the season, Glasgow could have won 4 of those games. They had personal foul penalties, turnovers, bad plays, just all kinds of things that they did in 2008 that hurt them, which is why. And then once that happened through those first 4 or 5 games, they just had a They couldn't do anything. This is kind of similar. You look at some of these games. I mean, they lost to Adair County by giving up 2 kick returns. Basically, they gave up, I think, was it 4 or 5 turnovers against Franklin Simpson?
It was at least 3.
Yeah.
And on multiple occasions, I think they were down there inside the 30.
Yes.
They were going to score. They were driving down the field and just fumbled it. Just fumbled the ball.
Well, and you look at, I think, the loss to Barron County, I think they had 2 or 3 drives inside the 20, and they just couldn't do anything with them, and Barron gave them plenty of opportunities. They just couldn't, because they turned the ball over in that game. I mean, so you look at these losses, and you're like, okay, all of these games, if there are ways they could have won these games, they kind of found ways not to win them.
Yeah, I mean, they've turned the ball over, and that's kind of knocked them out of the game on a couple of those. You talk about the Adair County game, that was in the tropical storm game is what I would call it.
Yeah.
The Adair County returned 2 kickoffs for a touchdown, and they lost that game by a touchdown.
First half.
And it had one there at the beginning of the game and one at the end of the half.
Yeah.
And they only scored 1 offensive touchdown. I mean, that's what cost them. And then at Franklin, just turned the ball over, and it led to, I guess it was 21 unanswered points, and they lost that game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They did get Cam Bull back. I didn't know after watching him come off the field against Glasgow he'd even be back. So he came back, and Jarek Martin was back too, missed it there. So that was positive.
Well, and talking about what you said about this is a good time for the break for Glasgow as well. That's why, because they had several guys who are banged up that are key players that they get that extra week and a half or whatever to get healthy. And, you know, a guy like Jarek Martin looks to me like he doesn't. You might run the ball with him some, but he's the kind of athlete that he needs to get 15 to 20 touches a game in high school because that's how good he is, fast and tall and everything else. He has good hands, all the things he can do at the high school level that he needs to touch the ball a lot, and from what I've seen.
I agree. I mean, they had one several years ago. He was playing at Western right now.
Yeah, Dalvin Smith.
Yeah. Now, their body type is different.
Uh-huh.
Dalen is bigger.
Yeah.
Jarek's a little bit, probably it's taller and a little bit thinner, but they can both make tons of play.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, but now, unfortunately for them, they're facing a potential 5th loss because they're going to play Hart County on Friday night at Hart County. Hart County is obviously as good as they were last year.
Seems like it. Undefeated again.
Yeah. And that I didn't expect that, to be honest with you.
Well, they lost a lot of players, but boy, culture is a lot. I mean, you coming off their best season ever, hard, and evidently they have enough players to continue on. I mean, it's amazing how confidence, culture, and so forth can carry over. But the one thing about it in sports, though, you can improve, but you can't control sometimes who you play.
Right.
And they can use that week to get healthy, improve, go up and, you know, if you can go up and get an upset, that'd be great. But if not, just play well. Cut down, as Chase would say, cut down on some of your turnovers and things like that, and be competitive against the best team they played, I think would be a positive. Because after that, I think they had Butler County.
Yeah, and then
Somerset, and then, you know, and then get yourself ready for the playoffs.
Right. What do you think about this matchup coming up Friday, Chase?
I mean, Hart County's ranked, I think, in the top 3 and 3A. I was seeing maybe last week, and I'm not sure it's changed, but I've noticed Hart County has not really had like a close game yet, though.
No.
So they may have not had their players play all 4 quarters in every game. So you're hoping for the Scotties' sake is you limit the turnovers and you control the ball on offense and control their players on defense because they like to run a lot of long pitches, as I would call them, to get out on the edge, and then they're just gone.
Yeah. Well, and they don't throw the ball much because they don't generally have to. But when they do, it's pretty crafty plays off of making you chase these pitches or these inside traps and that kind of stuff. And next thing you know, tight end, wing back, or whatever it is sprinting down the field all alone.
Yeah, sometimes you don't expect it. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Or, you know, or you could look at last year in the playoff game, and sometimes they're just lined up illegally. I'll just bring it up every time just because he was. I mean, you can see it on film. He was literally, you know, off the line. He was supposed to be on the line. but anyway, and just give them a little hard time about that because that was the game-winning touchdown when it turns out. But anyway, it's a tough matchup. I feel like as I've been watching Glasgow this year, they have things that they needed to get fixed that it's hard to do probably on a week-to-week basis, trying to get ready for the next game. So that 2-week break kind of gives you an opportunity to fix some issues you're having that, you know, in terms of how the plays are working out, you know, that kind of thing, you know, not executing the plays the way they need to be executed. And you've got a whole new offensive line, new quarterback. You got a bunch of new guys back there. And maybe you think you're ready to go, and then the season gets started, and some things go wrong, and people, start reverting to bad habits, and then you just kind of got to get them back on task.
Well, from a coaching perspective, what a break can do from a coaching staff is you can basically self-scout.
Yeah.
You're not worried about who you're playing next. You can go back and watch film of your own team, and you have time maybe kind of to – you're not so worried about who you're playing next during that 2 weeks. You're trying to maybe go over some film and kind of see what you're not doing right. You probably already have a gut idea and know, but sometimes going back and watching a little bit closer, what you need to work on can also help.
Yeah. Quick shift to the other school that we covered, Caverna. They beat Fulton County pretty handily. I think the final was 62-14 or somewhere in that neighborhood. The Martin twins were pretty much unstoppable. Jalen Crane actually did not play in the game, and so he was out, and that's probably the only reason that Fulton County managed to score. I think they threw a couple of passes that one of them he would have intercepted easily. The ball was just up there all day long. I mean, Jalen would have gone and snatched that out of the air and probably returned it. But that sets up the game against Russellville. I mean, this is the district first place in the district game this Friday night. They get to host it this year. It was a barn burner last year. I mean, it was like up and down the field, lots of big plays. And I'm pretty fascinated to see how it goes because when I saw Russellville play Glasgow early in the season, I was like, oh, that might be a problem because their defensive front looked a lot better than last year. Offensive line looked a lot better. When they had the quarterback in there where they were throwing the quick little outs and that kind of stuff, I thought they looked pretty decent on offense, just trying to get those guys in space. At that time, they were still subbing in another quarterback, and that dude, I think, threw 2 interceptions against Glasgow. And I was scratching my head wondering what they were up to. But I think they've kind of they've figured out exactly what they want to do, and that's what they're focused on now.
I don't think Caverna's losing to Russellville.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think
I
so
don't.
either.
I think they're the best team in the district. They can score basically on about anybody. I mean, Hart County shut them out for a half.
Yeah.
But then,
On a running clock,
and a
they
running
put up
clock,
28
they
points.
still put up 28 points. So I like Caverna's chances.
Yeah. You like that?
I like Caverna's chances, and Trevent's doing a good job with them boys over at Caverna. I mean, he has there for he's been there 2.
Yeah,
this is
his
the second
second
year.
year.
He's done good there for 2 years he's been there, and I continue to see that when you have talents like the Martin twins and Jalen Crane as well. I mean, those are 3 stud athletes.
Yeah. So I mean, I do. It's going to be it's going to be a heck of a game, I think, because both teams will come in with the idea that I've got to win this game if I want to. I want that first round game at home.
What troubles Caverna is not something I think Russellville can offer, and that's big, strong, physical lines on both sides.
Right.
And I just, you saw Russellville play. I don't think that line is going to give Caverna as much trouble as, say, like Hart counties or Adair counties.
Oh, yeah, for certain. Yeah, and those are the 2 teams. I mean, you look at it, the 2 teams they've lost to.
They're physical teams.
Yeah, and Hart, as you mentioned, is number 3 in 3A, and Adair County, I think, was number 7 or 8 before the fall break. So I don't know what their ranking is now, but they're still one of the better teams in 3A, even with that. Anything else high school football related you guys can think of?
I can't. Bowling Green continues to roll. They're the top team in 5A. Mm-hmm. South Warren's in the top 5. Monroe County finally got a win. Happy for them. They've battled injuries, and they've been close against Barron, close against Glasgow, so they got a win. So, it's after fall break. Basketball practice officially starts this week.
Yeah.
So, football's, the weather's changing.
Yeah. I did want to mention one thing, and I don't know if this game was played. I think it was the Friday before fall break. The Clinton County win over Greene County?
Yeah. It was running clock at halftime, 40-0.
Yes.
That surprised me. Clinton, it's not like Clinton is good this year. They'd already won 1 game.
Yeah, I know.
I'm listening to part of it, too, and I was surprised.
Well, and I mean, Barron had played Greene County. I know it was
in the
conditions
game,
were terrible.
It was terrible, but still, that was a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, even though they're playing a bunch of young dudes, I mean, just Clinton County hadn't done anything to make me think, oh yeah, they'll beat Greene County 41-7 or whatever that final was.
Well, they did.
They did indeed.
Yep.
And then I think they won this past Friday as well. I put up 40 more points. So maybe they found somebody who can play football.
Could be.
Cordell Stewart showed up or somebody just all of a sudden in Clinton County. All right, this is Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
All right, we're back here on the Brown Sports Bag with John Butler and Chase Landrum today, talking to us about. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some college football. And first, I wanted to point out I saw a thing in the recap from last Thursday's WKU football game. Dalvin Smith caught his 19th touchdown in his career. You can find the photo of the touchdown catch on 104thescore.com. And that ties him for 7th in the program's history in touchdown reception.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. I mean, because
It's not like he gets 10 balls a game.
no, he's like Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns.
And he's more volume this year.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years, you're right. It was big play.
Yeah, and this is a kid. I mean, he got injured his sophomore year.
Twice in Glasgow.
Yeah. I mean, these are the kinds of knee injuries and whatnot that usually knock people out. Then he got injured, I think, his freshman year at WKU. So, I mean, he's battled through a lot to get out there and continue to play and still be an explosive player.
Yep.
I mean, because that touchdown catch that he had to open that game against UTEP, man, it was a perfect pass from Beltcamp, and he hauled it in, but it was over the shoulder, catch fingertips, and the whole nine. It was awesome. So, congratulations to Dalvin for continuing to play well over there at WKU, and to that end, they beat UTEP, which has not won a game, and Beltcamp continues to play well. I mean, he's not perfect, but I mean, of course. For some reason, he wasn't the starter for the last 2 years.
His record's close to perfect.
It is that.
1 point loss to Boston College. I think it's the only game he's lost.
Yes. So, yeah, you're right. And so that's not really on him because they had the lead. They just gave it up. And we were talking about this off air. It's kind of curious. I mean, when you watch him play, I don't know what he looks like in practice. John and I have talked about this on here before, Chase.
Yeah.
But in the game, he looks like just a gamer.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big kid, 6'5", throws it well, but he also he runs over people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not questioning Coach Helton because I think he's a heck of a coach.
Right.
And he really knows offensive football. He's got two former quarterbacks in the NFL, so he knows what he's doing.
Right.
And it may be where Veltkamp just plays better when the lights come on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but, man, I think he's a heck of a player.
Yeah. What do you think, Chase? I mean, you think –
I mean, you could see it in his high school days at South Warren that he was going to be a quarterback and play D1 football. I mean, you could just see it with his athleticism and the way he runs with the ball. He just can plow right into you. I mean, it's just what it is, and he throws a really good ball as well. Yeah. And he's got receivers like Dalvin Smith out there who can just catch incredible balls as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's one of those great mysteries. I mean, If you're a fan watching him play a game and you see him play, you're like, I don't know how he doesn't start. You know what I mean? Just right out of the gate at the beginning of the year, how they brought in JT Finley to be the starter.
Who's a big kid too.
Who is a big kid, and he was not playing poorly.
No,
but it's just one of those where you're just like, I don't know how this guy wasn't just automatically the starter. But of course, you're not in practice. You don't know how he prepares and that kind of stuff. And he may be a guy who, on practice day, he's, out there staring at the clouds. Who knows?
I doubt it.
I doubt it, too. I'm reminded, sometimes there are kids in a class, right? And you think they're not paying attention because they're like got their head back, looking at the ceiling, piddling with their pencil or whatever. But you ask them the questions and they know all the answers. Mm-hmm. Sometimes looking attentive does not have anything to do with actually understanding what's going on. And sometimes I think there are people like that if you want them to look a certain way and they're not really looking that way, you're like, I just don't trust them. But then when the lights come on, they're just like, no, I've been here the whole time. I've been paying attention. I just don't look like it. But anyway, that was a good win for them. And now they turn around and play on Wednesday night against Sam Houston, I think it is.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
2 nights away.
TV. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TV.
Mm-hmm. Ratings.
It is. I mean, so that's got to be that's got to be weird for coaches to get ready for these games. You played on Thursday, you're going to play on Wednesday, and then you probably played the next Saturday, so now you have an extra 4 days or whatever it is that you got to figure out what you're doing with your time, John.
Well, it's like a mini break, actually.
Yeah.
It's like a mini bye.
Yeah. So, and in Kentucky, since we've been gone, Vanderbilt's become the best team in the SEC.
One of them.
One of them?
Yeah, one of them. I mean, they upset, I guess. Well, they beat Alabama.
Yeah.
If you watch the game, it wasn't fluky.
No.
I mean, they kept the ball 75% of the time and just beat Alabama. Of course, Kentucky, was coming off a bye, but was coming off a big win against Ole Miss.
Yes.
But Vanderbilt just, I don't know. You got to give them credit. I mean, Vanderbilt is a lot better than people than I think people give them credit for. I think they validated the Alabama win by going on the road and beating Kentucky. I think it's not. I never thought it was fluky to beat Alabama, but I think that really stamped them as a legit top 25 team. You know, it's kind of hard to say Vanderbilt in football top 25, but if you watch them,
yeah, they are.
They have a toughness about them. They have a quarterback they believe in, and so forth. And did they blow Kentucky out? No, but they beat Kentucky, and Kentucky has a major problem on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Ole Miss, and that was a great win. But, you know, they made a huge play on 4th and 9, you know, from their own 20 on a kind of a goal pattern. I mean, they made the play, but it probably doesn't work very often.
Yeah.
Fumbled the ball into the end zone and recovered their own fumble. So, you know, a lot of those little kind of fluky those fluky things generally don't consistently work out.
Yeah, they're not even 50-50 plays. They're like 25% plays that usually go in your favor.
You know, and I hope Vandegrift becomes a good quarterback, but right now they struggle throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And Coach Stoops has done a really good job at Kentucky, obviously, for 12 years. But the one problem that they consistently have, in my opinion, is offensively. They're generally in the bottom part of the conference in terms of explosiveness and so forth.
Yeah. Chase, what do you think? I mean, are you a Kentucky football fan?
I am. Well, and it's like in that last game against Vanderbilt, they just kept, as I would say, shooting yourself in the foot because you had penalty after penalty after penalty.
Dropped 2 snaps.
Snaps. You take a penalty on I guess it was on the 1, moved it to the half-yard line with 2nd and goal, and didn't score.
My pet peeve on that penalty on the 1, and I watched a high school game that my nephew played up in Lexington, is when you got it 1st and goal or 2nd and goal or 3rd and goal from the 1, and you stay in shotgun.
Yeah.
I just never understood that. Kentucky goes in shotgun.
Yeah.
And they have a player that guard or somebody moves early, I believe, or something, so you get to 5-yard penalty. A quarterback sneak works probably 99% of the time.
I would see.
Just go under center and just
After what the Eagles have done in the last few years with the with the tush push and all.
If you don't like that, just sneak it.
Yeah, I mean,
just
they've proven that is a high percentage play.
You just
from
go
a yard.
up, and you don't have to. It's on the first call, so nobody's moving and offsides and so forth, and score. And why Kentucky, the physical team, doesn't do that or didn't do that, I don't understand it. I mean, I have no. Now that to me is coaching.
Well, you know what?
That's a wrong call, wrong decision.
Who was it a couple of years ago? I think it was in the national title game where, and it may have been longer than a couple of years, where there was a team that turns out they did not have a goal line offense installed. They ran the shotgun exclusively.
There's a lot of teams that do that. There's a lot of there's teams at the end of the game when you run out the clock that takes knees, takes it out of the snap, takes it out of shotgun.
Yeah.
Which to me it's almost ludicrous. I mean, you can snap it. How many times do you see bad snaps like that? I don't understand it. I mean. You have to coach it. Just work on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
how long does it take to install a goal line offense just to lean forward?
It looks like to me it's the easiest part of the game to me. But yeah, you had that in the Kentucky game. They also had a kickoff return for a long way, or punt return that was brought back with a penalty. You had 2 botched snaps on field goals attempt, and so you had all that. Plus, the quarterback played okay.
Yeah.
Nothing special or anything like that. So I don't know. It's they're the same team that can play Georgia close and beat Ole Miss can get blown out by South Carolina and lose to Vanderbilt. And it's just I don't. It kind of looks similar to some of the past teams.
Yeah. What do you think, Chase?
And you don't know which team's going to show up each week either when you almost beat the number 1 team in Georgia and then you go to on the road in Ole Miss and actually beat Ole Miss.
Their defense is good.
Their defense is probably top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, that's proven, but they've got to just score the football. I mean,
yeah. And strangely enough, after watching Vanderbilt's offense against Alabama, it's no disrespect to get scored on by Vanderbilt. Their offense is really hard to defend.
Gave up 20 points. That's not terrible.
Yeah. See, you lose a game by that amount. I mean, you actually did better than Alabama at slowing down their offense.
But I think their Kentucky under Coach Stoops is 4-8 after a bye. I mean, those are.
Well, like we were talking about in the prior section, it seems like a good time to examine what you're not doing well and work on those things, not so much worry about your opponent.
It's really tricky in college football
yeah.
with quarterback play.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, the stat I seen was I think Kentucky's won maybe 2 of their last 10 SEC home games.
Yep. They're
Something
struggling
like
at
that.
home. I know.
Struggling at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
But with the quarterback play, people are going out and just buying quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have no backups anymore because nobody sticks around.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a backup quarterback, you're looking to go play somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to develop. So if that guy that you go spend $200,000, $300,000 or whatever you're paying in NIL, I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
It's probably $1 million in most places.
Yeah.
If that person doesn't work out, see Florida State.
Right.
If that player
Yeah.
doesn't work out, you're stuck.
Is that Ungalele? Is that
Yeah,
guy's name?
I mean, you're
He'd been a backup
you're-
everywhere.
No,
Well,
he
no,
started.
he was
Oregon
That's
State
right.
last year.
Yeah, that's right. He was.
It started with Clemson.
Yeah. That's
Started
right.
there, didn't do, got beat out by the freshman.
Yeah.
Went to Oregon State, was okay, and now at Florida State, and has just been terrible. But you have no more backups anymore. You
Yeah.
are, and I think that's contributing to the parity right now in college football.
Right.
All the big time Pirates, they got the number ones, but the 2s and 3s, if you don't play, you know what you do now. You transfer.
Yeah. The guy at Vanderbilt is a 2 or a 3, but he turns out he's a very good college quarterback. I don't know what his NFL prospects are, but as a college quarterback, that guy's dynamic.
Yep.
And that's proven to be pretty significant. And even WKU has backed into the Veltkamp situation because they were trying to turn him into a tight end.
Yep.
I mean, they got lucky. It was almost, it's kind of dumb luck that they've wound up with this guy who is a backup who's a starter somewhere, supposedly. And then, not to leave Louisville off the list, but apparently SMU bought their way into being one of the better teams in the ACC this year because they have come from nowhere, I would say, in terms of expectations. And Louisville ended up losing to them a couple of weeks ago. And at first, I looked at that game and I was like, well, dang, that's a bad loss for them. Turns out SMU's good.
Yeah, they're good. Quarterback's really good.
Yeah. I mean, but that's another case. I mean, there's a guy who was somewhere else, a whole team that was somewhere else.
Except for Clemson,
Yes.
Army and Navy and Air Force. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Clemson has no transfers.
Yeah.
Army, the military schools don't take transfers.
Right.
I mean, that's everybody else, especially at the quarterback position. Theirs generally comes from somewhere else. Alabama doesn't. Melrose was a freshman, now sophomore.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah. And then to the Louisville point, they did pick up a win on Saturday. So
Needed that. Yep.
yeah, they did because that was consecutive losses.
Their quarterback's good.
He
Kentucky,
is.
the Louisville quarterback, Strauss, I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. He's good.
Yeah.
Legitimately good.
Anything else from the college football that stood out to you, either of you guys?
Texas, it looks like the
Texas looks like the
best team, I
Yeah.
guess. It's hard to say. I mean, Oregon got a big win over Ohio State.
Yeah, that was a wild game.
Yeah, it was. But, yeah, it's kind of chaotic right now, which, it's what I want.
It's the quarterback situation at Texas with me though.
They got two.
They got 2. You got Ewers
Yeah.
out there, and then you got Arch Manning.
Who stayed. Now, he's probably get paid a monster pence to stay.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, most places don't have the backups. But he stayed.
Yeah.
He could have gone a lot of places.
Well, and he is a fascinating situation because I think I was reading when they were talking about him coming, sticking around this year.
Now, he
And-
doesn't necessarily need the money either.
Well, and part of what the discussion as I was reading about this was, he was talking to his family about, what I should do and this kind of stuff. And they were all like, well, I mean, do you enjoy being in Texas? Yes. Do you like Austin? Yes. Do you like the environment? Yes. Do you like the school? Yes. How much do you want to play? Will you get to play? Well, I'm going to probably not get to play right now, but everybody gets hurt. And if you stay there, you're at Texas, you're all these things, that they were talking about with his family. And it's like, besides, where would you go if you transfer? I mean, who do you want? There's no guarantees. You know what you're doing there. And so I thought it was kind of a fascinating thing where he's like, cool, I'll just stay here. And as you said, didn't need the money. I mean, he's getting whatever amount of he needs or wants, but, he's just enjoying his time, I suppose, and playing well. And there are lots of programs around the nation that are like, gosh, I wish we had him. I am sure. Yeah, Texas might be the best team, as it turns out, and that also surprises me. Not as much as the SMU situation, but I really thought they would kind of get a smack in the forehead coming in the SEC.
Well, they hadn't played one of the big ones yet, though, right?
No, that's right.
I mean, Oklahoma, I don't think is very good.
No,
They have very poor quarterback play, and they have dropped considerably since Lincoln Riley left.
yeah,
So we'll see. Texas still has. I know they had played. Don't they play Alabama and Georgia coming up? I played one of those, so we'll see.
yeah. On the NFL front, I think the most anticipated game, strangely enough, from the weekend was probably the Ravens and Commanders game. I thought that was going to be a pretty interesting one because of the way Jaden Daniels has played. I did not expect this from him coming into the NFL, really. No, I didn't. Not that I didn't see it at LSU, but I just figured he was going to get knocked out because of the way he played at LSU. So he's been pretty good. And then
Been very good.
yeah, and then Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry proved to be a great tandem in a backfield.
No question. I mean, that's. Derrick Henry's the perfect fit for a ground-oriented team, right?
Yes, he is.
And he's first time he's played in a long, maybe in his career, that he's had a great quarterback.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it
and-
takes the pressure. He's not facing 8 people on the line of scrimmage.
yeah, yeah. Who's your favorite NFL team, Chase?
Well, it's the Titans, and we gave away about 3 games this year that they could have had in the fourth quarter as well that they've had a lead in.
Yeah, Will Levis is in serious danger of
losing
losing that opportunity. Yeah.
Well, and the offensive line's not really gave him much help either.
No,
Yeah.
no, but he just makes.
But he's not made
terrible.
some
His
very good decisions.
Yeah, his turnovers are.
Yeah, he's
And now he's got wide receivers complaining. Ridley
Ridley had 8 targets and didn't catch one.
and threw him under the bus after the game.
oh my gosh,
Said
yeah.
he said you can't wait till the fourth quarter to start throwing in the ball and this and that. So, well, and they got a competent backup too. I think that's the other thing too. Mason Rudolph's
Yeah,
pretty competent to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And the one win they got, he played most of the game. So we'll see. Got a young coach and. Young coach, he needs wins too because they'll get rid of him too if they don't win. So
They've got a tough schedule coming up too.
They
They got
do.
the Bills this week.
they do. So we'll see if they stick with Will Levis.
yeah. I hate that for him because I thought he looked pretty good last year, and maybe
He did at times. He was up and down, things like that.
well,
yeah.
you could expect that last year. I
can.
think.
You can. But there's no patience in the NFL.
no.
And what hurts Will Levis more than anything is Jaden Daniels is playing good.
Yes, yes.
Caleb Williams is playing good. Last year, C.J. Strauss just jumped right in and
Yes.
played. So it's possible. But we'll see.
Yeah, he's the Tony Eason of his class.
I hope not. I want to see him succeed too.
Yeah, no,
But he's got to play better.
yeah, and look, one of the excuses when he was at Kentucky was the offensive line was bad, and good quarterbacks kind of figure out ways to optimize even bad situations. And certainly you need help from the organization and the coaching staff in order to do that. And sometimes I think they're just putting these people in situations that are just untenable, not because of the talent, but the scheme itself. They were like, okay, yeah, we'll give up Derrick Henry. I mean, that was their whole offense for several
Sometimes
years.
it's the player, sometimes it's the scheme.
Yes.
Ask Cleveland last year. All of a sudden,
Yes.
that offense that couldn't do anything, they put Joe Flacco in, and they won, 6 out of 7?
Yes.
And it looked like, and now they're back to Deshaun Watson, and their offense is terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's scheme. Sometimes it may be who you got back there.
Yeah, who you paid all that money to that you got no rebates on. All right, this is the Brown Sports Bag presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. We'll be right back.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
We're back here on the Brown Sports Bag. John Butler, Chase Landrum with us, and we're talking. We've covered some golf, we've covered some football, some more football. We're going to do kind of a quick roundup here of some of the fall sports that are coming to a close. Because the Glasgow boys and Barron County girls soccer seasons both ended yesterday in the first round of the 4th region tournaments. And the Glasgow boys lost to Franklin Simpson 5-2. We were talking about this just before we came back on the air. I think for first half of the season, Franklin Simpson's best player was not playing, and Glasgow beat them, I think, 3-0 early in the season.
Well, they split. No, they actually lost to Franklin earlier.
No, they beat them 3-0 early and lost to them the week before the end of the season, 3-1.
Okay, I thought it was just the opposite.
Yeah.
Teams had split. Glasgow had a good year. They were 16-8.
Yeah.
And going back while we were on a break, they won the district, beat ACS, which we thought 9-1, and then beat Barron 3-1. Mm-hmm. Going into the tournament. I think probably most people thought Franklin would be a 50-50 game.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody's going to beat the big two.
Right.
No.
So it just depends on how far you want to go, right?
Well, and this year, I mean, Barron plays tonight. They play Bowling Green tonight. Bowling Green is 15-0-1, so they have one tie, I think, against Davis County. This Bowling Green team is probably close to as good as the one in 2013 or so that won the state championship, and I think lost one game that whole year. Their talent, they don't really have like the spectacular player they had on that team, Xavier Blogbart, but they have a team that is dominant this year. I mean, they killed everybody. I mean, they gave it one goal, I think, in district play this year, and that's one of the best districts in the state. And they closed out the district by beating Greenwood 3-0. No, South Warren Central and South Warren, I think, both of them 3-0 in the district tournament. So I mean, Bowling Green right now is one of the best teams in the state. And that's who Barron's playing tonight. And, you know, it's, as you mentioned, the big two. You know, South Warren was the one that was the runner-up to them.
Well, they rotate in that district.
Yeah.
Greenwood's good. South Warren's good. Warren Central got to the final game of the state just a couple years ago in soccer.
Right.
So there's 4 teams, and they just kind of
Yeah.
any 2 of the 4 that come out are loaded.
Yeah. And so everybody's playing for the 4th and 5th place or whatever, however it works out. Everybody's playing to get to the semifinals, you know, because you're going to meet South Warren and Bowling Green there and lose to one of them.
In the girls' district, well, first of all, with Barron, give the Barron boys credit. Got a good win against Warren East in the first round.
Yeah.
4-0.
Yep.
And I was reading online, Caleb Self had 38 saves.
Yeah, Caleb, man, he's had a great year. He's one of the best goalies actually
He
in
had
the region, in my
45
opinion.
saves against Glasgow in the finals.
Yeah. I mean,
Gave up 2 goals. But,
Yeah.
But daggone, I said, that's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
right. Yeah, I mean, he really is. There were a lot of games this year that
Sounded like probably the best player was the goalie.
Yes,
Yeah.
there were a lot of games this year that if he was not playing goalie, they would have been in a lot of trouble. He made, if you go back to, I think, the first game against Warren East, he made a diving stop that was one of the best ones I've seen. And even in a couple of games that they lost, he had big, like huge tip-aways on shots that were up in the corners. I mean, yeah, Caleb himself's one of the best goalies in the region.
Right. In the girls' district, Barron defeated Glasgow in the first round 4-0. Give Glasgow credit; they went from no wins to 6 wins this
Yes.
year.
Yep.
Good. That's the improvement that you want. And they got most of them back. I'm sure they'll make another jump. And then lost 3-2 to Warren East in the finals.
Yeah. In overtime.
And
on a
overtime
penalty kick.
again, guys, they've been in more overtime games with Warren East.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, so I mean, it was a good season.
And lost to Bowling Green in the first
yesterday, 7-1, which is quite an accomplishment since they opened the season, losing them, I think, 8-0 at halftime.
Right.
So made a lot.
Bowling Green, another top 5 in the state.
Yeah.
Girls. Yep.
So good run there on the soccer side of things.
Kalu Witcher.
Yep. Finished tied for 17th in the girls' state golf tournament. She made it to those final 2 rounds. Last year, she made it, missed the cut to day 2.
Well, while we're on a break, in the first round of the state, which is the semi-state,
Yes.
however you want to call it, she
Yeah.
was like second.
Yeah, she was tied for 4th, I think, was when
Tied
it was all
for
said and done. I
okay.
think she was 2 strokes off.
Okay.
But yeah, she was running right there in second, third the whole time.
Played pretty good at the state. What she shoot, 79, 81, something like that?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's a good performance. And the girl from Cumberland County ends up being second, right?
Yep, Kinsey Whelan, yep.
Great-
She
great.
won the region last year. She didn't win it this year, but yeah.
The state. I'm talking about the state, right?
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
second. That's
Yeah, she's a heck of a golfer. I think she's a sophomore as well. She and Chloe, I think, are both sophomores. So good group of young girls golfers coming up. Going back to that semi-state, of course, Tinsley Nagel had made the cut to that first round of state from the region. That was the first time she'd made it.
Yep.
And then Lucy Zala and Kinsey Edwards both made the cut. And then Emery Gardner from Glasgow.
Mhm.
Yeah, shot an 85. We had our best round ever and got to that semi-state as well. And then the volleyball season's going on.
One more week before
Yep.
the tournament, right?
Yep. And then we've got there's a game tonight, and then I think everybody's playing 2 or 3 games this week.
I think the volleyball tournament is at Barron, isn't it?
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
Yes, the 15th district. And I think Warren East will be the 1 seed. I don't know what the 2-3 is.
I think it's Barron and Allen.
Yeah.
I believe. I think Barron's got 2 wins because they upset Allen.
Yes, that's right.
And they split with Glasgow.
Yeah.
And I think Glasgow only has 1 win.
Yeah, they only have the 1 win.
So they'll
Yep.
play East.
Yep. Unfortunately, East is the most dominant team in the district still this year by a good stretch. And then some quick cross-country news. Brody Miller finished third at Central Hardin meet. That was run, I think, October 5th. He ran 16:33.83, John.
That's fast.
Chase, have you ever run that fast in your life in 3.2 miles?
Yeah, I don't think so.
You've walked several 3.2
I'm not sure
miles.
I could do a mile in 16 minutes right now. So.
That's under 6-minute miles.
Yeah, that's pretty blazing fast there. And then Adeline Coleman from Barron, she finished 4th in the girls' race at that meet. The regional meet is in 2 weeks. I think it's being run at the Hardin County Fairgrounds. I think Central Hardin's a host for Region 2, and that's for 1A, 3A, and 1A, 2A, and 3A. So I think Glasgow will be running at that meet at that same location as well. And what else we got? Anything else you can think of from the fall sports business here, John?
No, like I said, golf is over. Soccer is, in postseason.
Shortly to be over, probably.
Probably, yep. And cross country, it's the longest of the season. They start when it's 90 degrees and they end when it's 40.
Right.
And basketball season officially, when I say officially, starts tomorrow. October 15th is when they can require attendance, and you can officially start making your cuts. Though teams have practiced before then, that's when it's technically official.
Yeah. And Chase, are you going to be doing the call for Glasgow again this year on
I am.
WCLU Radio?
I am. I enjoyed it last year. I'm going to come back again this year, and me and Bruce Tribute will be back again this year. So
you have to hit the mute on Bruce's mic every once in a while.
nah.
He's a resident official commentator, isn't he? Bruce is kind of like John for football. He's got some things to say about the officiating every once in a while.
He's not like me because he keeps stats. I don't know how you do it. I can't.
I couldn't do it.
I can keep stats in football because there's gaps in between plays. In basketball, I don't know how. It's amazing to keep up with.
Especially with how fast they go up and down.
Both teams stats too. Offense, rebound,
amazing.
assists, turnovers. It's incredible.
Yeah. Bruce is a man of talents when it comes to keeping stats. That's always blown my mind because I'm like, I'll look. Like if I'd kept stats or whatever, I'd look at his because I'd be like,
I do Western games, and there's no way I don't keep any stats. Right. I mean, there's people that do it for us, things like that, because I just trying to watch the game and give my insights. And if I'm looking down trying to write, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's
when I help Jay, I don't do it either. I just can't do it.
Yeah,
so it's amazing.
So do you guys do all the home and road games like Jay Turner does for Barron?
We do. We're going to do all the home and road games and the Christmas tournaments as well. Try to split them equally. I mean, each team deserves that. So
yeah,
hopefully their Christmas tournaments are around this area this year as well. And I was looking through their schedules the other day. I mean, both teams are playing a good schedule again this year.
Yeah.
As they normally do, which prepares them for district and region.
And people in the media, now that I'm on the media side and radio, and nothing like the doubleheaders, right?
Oh, doubleheaders. District doubleheaders.
Doubleheaders where you're not out 6 days a week.
That's right.
That's right.
That's quite helpful.
Look, there are probably people who used to look at me crazy because I'd be like, why do the girls and boys play on a different night? Because I was coming from Mississippi, man. Everything is a doubleheader.
From administrators like it too.
Yeah.
You're not out near as many nights.
And I'm sure people are like, well, everybody deserves an equal opportunity. I'm like, look, I'm going to give them an equal opportunity, but I can cover them both on the same night a lot easier than every night of the week. And you get to the end of basketball season, you're like, I need a long rest.
Yep.
I need a nap. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some Major League Baseball playoffs.
Presented by McDonald's of Glasgow, it's back to the studio with James and John, the Brown Sports Bag.
All right, we're back here to close out the show, the Brown Sports Bag, presented by McDonald's of Glasgow. Got Chase Landrum in the house with us today, along with myself and John Butler, and we're going to talk about Major League Baseball playoffs. We're down to the NLCS and the ALCS, and The Dodgers won big last night, right? 9-0. Is that what it was?
That's correct.
And then the Yankees and the Guardians are tonight, and right now the Mets and Dodgers are playing Game 2 of their series. I find it fascinating. How did it wind up that they played on Sunday evening, and then early-ish on Monday afternoon?
I guess TV wanted the Yankees on at night.
Makes
For ratings, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Everybody's a Yankees fan. And either you love them or you hate them. That's kind of how the Yankees are, right? They're sort of like Cowboys.
Well, they're the biggest draw.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the playoffs so far? Either one of you guys.
Well, it's been, I like playoff baseball. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's some upsets. Philadelphia looked like to me had the best team. Of course, we know in baseball the best team doesn't always win these short series. The Mets were the hottest teams, and the Mets knocked them off. Mm-hmm. And now it looks like to me going to even the series with the Dodgers 1-1. The Yankees finally got over the hump. It's been a long time since they won a series when they knocked off Kansas City.
Yeah.
So in these series, it's generally who's the hottest. It looks like starting pitching is gone the way of the dinosaur right now. If you can get 5 innings out of somebody and then you bring in like 6 relievers who throw it about 100 miles an hour. It's kind of the name of the game right now. The Yankees have probably the best individual pitcher left in Cole, Garrett Cole. But we'll see what happens right now. The Yankees got to beat Cleveland as scrappy as can be, and don't have a big payroll, but they're very, very scrappy. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Chase, are you surprised to see Cleveland here in this ALCS?
I am very surprised to see Cleveland here, but also I'm kind of surprised the Yankees are here too after that little stretch they went through during the season where they were, I guess it was like 10-20 in a 30-game stretch or something, and they couldn't hit the ball, they couldn't pitch. Now they've kind of caught a little fire with their bats and their pitching's there. Yeah. So you're looking at them as maybe a little favorite over the Guardians in this series, possibly.
Oh, they'll definitely be the betting favorite, just because of the Yankees anyway. But they got Judge and Soto, 2-3 hitters. I was going to say nobody's got that, but then I think the Dodgers, they got Ohtani and they got Mookie Betts, and then you throw in Freddie Freeman. That's 1, 2, 3, and I like the Dodgers lineup 1 through 9 100% better. After you get by the first 4 with the Yankees, they got some pretty average players.
Do you think would Major League Baseball rather see the Mets Yankees, the Subway Series, or would they rather see the historic series between the Yankees and Dodgers?
Good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty appealing. You get, West Coast versus East Coast when you got Yankees and. The Yankees and Mets is pretty regional, but it's also pretty heated.
Yeah.
I know Cleveland is out. They don't want Cleveland.
They don't want Cleveland.
They're like, no Cleveland. Any of the other 3 is fine.
Yeah, they don't want Cleveland.
I do think like a national appeal, not just coast to coast, but the Yankees and the Dodgers are similar to me in the sense that they have fans who have nothing to do with Los Angeles or New York. Across the nation that would want to watch that.
And the 2 biggest stars in the game right now is Ohtani.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani.
And Judge.
Yeah.
Those are 2 draws.
Yeah. What would you rather see there, Chase?
I mean, you like the Subway Series, but also I think the best 2 teams in baseball right now are probably the Dodgers and the Yankees if you look at it. And I think that if you ever got that series might go 7 games. I mean, it might come down to it.
I do think the world would love to see the new Babe Ruth in the World Series, even though he won't be pitching in Ohtani. But just what he's done this year and in his career so far, even though he's known everywhere, I don't think many people really got a chance to watch him play a whole lot because that West Coast time, especially if you're on the East Coast and that kind of jazz. So I think that would be interesting to see him on that stage. We've not really seen him on that stage yet.
International viewers.
Oh, yeah, that would be huge.
The Japanese, Asian market.
Yeah.
The Dodgers that's probably who they want.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, you're right. And I mean, he's got name recognition even if you can't say it correctly.
I can't. Most people can. It's Ohtani. It's Ohtani. Yeah.
It's the first name that trips him up because I always thought it was Shohei, but it's Shohei, I guess, is what it actually is. That's what my son told me. He keeps up with this stuff. I goof it up. I get Manny Ramirez wrong, so there's that.
You did.
You did.
But yeah. Anyway, I want to thank you, Chase, for joining us and talking to us today. It was a lot of fun. I look forward. I know we're going to be working around each other a lot more coming up, and
we are.
The Brown Sports Back will be back next week, Monday at 4:00, and presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Thanks for listening, and be sure and join James and John once again next Monday at 4 for the Brown Sports Bag, a local weekly sports machine presented by McDonald's of Glasgow.
Coming soon to your FM dial, this is Fox Sports Radio, WCDS Glasgow, AM 1230.